Judi Moore. Judi, are you with us? Hello, ma'am.
Hi, I am here.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being on the program. We really appreciate it.
That's okay.
I was kind of talking. We were just trying to get you on any way we could. I was actually talking about something different, but just to kind of educate our viewers a little bit. Yesterday, we talked about this new Arkansas Amazon sales tax law and how it seems to be affecting online retailers here in the state of Arkansas. Now you're from Conway, is that correct?
I am, yes.
And you have a business. Let's go ahead and tell people the name of your website because I want to be kind there. I'd like for everybody listening to the show to go there. What's the name of the website?
Well, the one that's the most public is lunchbreakshopping.com.
Okay.
That's the one where I send everybody to sort of get an idea of what affiliate marketing is all about.
Okay. And what exactly does that site do for you? I mean, how do you make your income off of that website?
It's Lunch Break Shopping is an online mall,
okay.
And it had, before the law, it had over 600 online merchants so that you could find just about anything in the world you were looking for.
Yeah.
Now it has about 200 online merchants. I lost over 400 immediately. And if you were to click through and buy something from one of those merchants, I would get some small commission,
okay.
1 or 2%, sometimes 10 or 15 cents a lead. It's a pay-for-performance sort of advertising placement.
And so do you feel that this law is, obviously the law has hurt your business. I mean, is that safe to say that this has hurt what you do here in Arkansas?
Absolutely. It's made it harder. It hasn't completely eliminated my business, but it's taken away a lot of my tools. It's taken away a lot of businesses I can work with and cut my income by 75%.
Wow. 75%. Now, are you going to be able to stay afloat? I mean, are you, obviously you've got to be worried.
Right. I've actually taken on a small part-time job, and I'm busy rebuilding sites. I actually have about 60 sites, and I'm busy rebuilding them with the few merchants that are left, with more information and less shopping, things like that.
Well, let me ask you this.
Coming up with a new business plan.
Yeah, your new business plan. It's right. You've taken a 75% cut. You've gone from 200 affiliates or 600 to 200 affiliates. Are you the only one? I mean, are there just a plethora more of you guys here in Arkansas that are suffering here?
I'm sure that there are many affiliates in Arkansas. I've only run into 4 or 5, and that's after they got hit with this and came looking for help and saw that I'd been fighting. And of course, some of the associations that are trying to help have been steering people my direction. But truthfully, any blogger who has ads on his site, even any mommy blogger at home who's trying to make a few dollars to help with the groceries, if they have ads on their site, they're affected.
Wow. I just can't get over this. And what's interesting is I think they had other examples at the time. I think Rhode Island comes to mind. They had passed something similar, and as a matter of fact, when they passed it, so many of the affiliates, the retailers like Amazon, Overstock.com, and others, they left as well, and the state ended up not getting any money out of this because that was the goal.
Well, that's the point. I mean, that is the reason. You and I don't agree on a lot of political things, but the point of this issue, the problem, is that this law is totally incompetent. It's not going to do what they want it to do, because Amazon and Overstock, and those are just 2 examples.
Yeah.
They don't need me. They don't need to put an ad on my site to make money in Arkansas.
Right.
People are still going to buy from Amazon. They're still going to buy from any of these merchants. They're still going to live in Arkansas. They're still not going to pay the sales tax or use tax or whatever it is they're required to pay. Amazon isn't going to collect it because they just terminated what is called Nexus now. I'm gone.
Yeah.
So we're spending tax dollars to set up a department to enforce this, and there's nothing to enforce.
So it's just an utter waste. I mean, government's gotten involved here, and it's just the wrong place for them to get involved. You'd be safe. It'd be safe for me to sum that up as your opinion.
Well, let me just expand on it a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
Okay?
Go for it. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. The legislators, I understand how they got taken in. Okay, this is a domino effect that's going across the nation, and there are some big box stores that are behind it. Walmart, Target, Best Buy, I love them as a big business. I support business, for crying out loud.
Right.
I was part of all their programs. But they've decided that one way to make this happen and eliminate Amazon's advantage online is to convince the small business merchants on Main Street that having Amazon around is unfair. And they tell these legislators that there's this huge bucket of money that's got a hole in it that they're missing, and that billions and billions of dollars could be raked in from online sales. And the legislators believe it because the Walmart lobbyist is sitting in the Finance Committee meeting waiting for him to vote the way he wants them to vote.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I am nothing more than a pawn in the game. They don't think that these affiliates are important enough because we're invisible.
Yeah. Yeah, you can clearly see, and I'm getting to read your email that you sent me in more detail. This thing is being pushed by the likes, as you said, Walmart, Target, Best Buy. I mean, these are people that want the legislation passed so that they can crush the competition. It's really sickening because that was never the intent of a free market society. When you have the special interests that are, in participating in our capitalist society, but they're participating in crony capitalism. And it's not about who has the best ideas. It's not about competing. It's about, let's see if we can use the government that can threaten people with fines or jail to get what we want and survive and make more money. And Judi, it's absolutely sickening, and I feel terrible for you.
Well, it's become, the thing that bothers me is, and the only reason I pointed out that you and I might be on opposite sides politically, is people are telling me that it's become a partisan issue, and I don't want to believe that.
Right.
Because it wasn't just Democrats or just Republicans.
This is true.
Especially in Arkansas.
Yeah.
In Arkansas specifically, it was a Republican who initiated it,
yes,
and it was my Democratic friend who couldn't help me. I mean, it's not partisan. It's ignorance about what was being done in a bill with the name fairness on it.
Isn't that funny?
They named it Fairness to Main Street, and what they meant was screw over the little guy.
Yeah, and do you not feel that the Internet is this amazing idea where maybe the last bastion of a free market where it's kind of untouched right now? And that's so much of a good thing. I think it's just a clear example of the government trying, it's productive. The government wants to get some money out of it. And in this case, the whole thing was just ill-conceived. It's blowing up in their faces. I mean, they're not gonna have any of this revenue that they wanted to get because people want to avoid these burdensome laws and regulations.
And Walmart sits back and laughs.
Yes.
I want you to think about. I want you to think about it for a minute the way I do. You're right about the Internet and the global energy there, and think back in history to when mail order catalogs were the same thing. Because this is not so different. Websites with advertising are no different than catalogs sent to your mailbox. It's just a different delivery system.
Right.
And that catalog that you purchase from, that comes in your mailbox, has been handling sales tax state by state the same way we have in the brick-and-mortar stores for decades, maybe hundreds of years. If the nexus was there, which that's such a silly word, but it's what we're using nowadays, I guess. If Montgomery Ward's had a store in your state and you bought stuff, they collected the tax.
Yeah.
That's the way all the brick and mortars do. It's the way all the catalog companies still do. And the amazing irony is that with the Internet, we have the software and the digital capability to actually sort this out. so that they could leave the tax laws alone and just collect what's already on the books.
Well, so would you be in favor of maybe a national a law that just makes it all uniform in the states? Would you be in support of something like that?
Well, I don't exactly know how they would do it. It would be political suicide, and it would be a whole nother tax.
Yeah.
I believe that there must be a solution, and I think that part of this chaos I'm caught up in is headed in that direction. I don't like new taxes, and I don't like federal solutions either, Democrat or not. It's just that there has to be some sense made of this somehow.
Yeah.
Because as far as I'm concerned, Amazon built their corporate structure in a state with no sales tax for a reason.
Yeah.
And that reason is what free markets are about.
Yes, ma'am, that is.
So if Arkansas makes a law, which they did a long time ago, that if I buy from Amazon, I have to self-report and pay the tax myself, that's our law. Deal with it. But putting the strictures on Amazon, and the resulting factor being that Amazon just says, well, we know how to play hardball too, so who needs Judi Moore?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's happening is you're going to still be able to buy from Amazon through a direct type-in or a click from Tennessee or a click from Florida,
right,
or a book review out of Oregon, and that income tax will go somewhere else.
Yeah, I like what you said about, it gets going somewhere else. You're right. I like what you said about fairness. This bill had the word fairness in it, and I think that's maybe symptomatic of a lot of what seems to happen. It didn't make it fair at all. All it did was crush your business. I mean, your revenue is going to be, what you said, 75%. Just if we got people just now joining us about to get in their car, and you've gone from 600 affiliates down to 200 affiliates.
Merchants that will advertise. These merchants won't advertise in Arkansas now on websites because. And let me take it another direction. This one's hard to understand, but it's another way that the same people who made this happen are getting hurt, okay? The Main Street Fairness Group that Walmart and them founded and got all the little brick and mortars to join them in saying what's fair is fair. Those little guys now, let's just pick one. Let's say ABC Wedding Store down on, Front Street. If they want to sell online, they have to be extraordinarily careful now not to bring the wrath of some Rhode Island tax district down on their head because somebody in Oregon clicked a link on a website owned by Rhode Island and bought a wedding veil from a store in Conway, Arkansas, and now they've got some kind of $10,000 tax penalty down the road. Who's going to do that?
Yeah.
Who's going to take that chance?
Yeah, no self-thinking or right-thinking businessman is going to take that chance. You're absolutely right there, Judi.
And they might not even know. And who can they get help from? But all these snake oil salesmen now that are jumping up and down to sell Nexus information. I'll tell you what states to be careful of. Well, that helps.
Oh my gosh! It's just ridiculous. I'm reading here a list of these stores that have been. Or excuse me, I guess the retailers that are no longer going to be doing the advertising there, and it just goes on. They just automatically cut off any of us that live in a state that signed it. Now, Illinois signed it a few weeks before Arkansas. They lost millions. A friend of mine with a company in Rockton, Illinois, he built a multi-million-dollar facility in a little town that was withering. Hired 56, 59 people. I don't know. He's got a multi-million-dollar business similar to mine, only good. And he just up and moved it to Wisconsin. Wow.
And so Illinois lost, that income revenue.
Yeah.
They lost 56, 59 jobs. It was like ludicrous.
Yeah, and in a time where our economy is so fragile anyway, pushing for any kind of tax increase, I think, is just in bad taste. Do you think this is kind of like most government plans or tax plans? It just seems like they think it's a good idea. It's got the word fairness in it, but the consequences always, or in most cases, especially here of late, they seem to stretch much further than they think or they realize at the time. Would you agree with that?